not have to do as many videos. Our live streams are part of the training, so
Mm,
you can have
good
fun and
idea.
also try to teach at the same time because we're not getting much. We're just not getting much on the training videos. So what? Oh, I got a YouTube on the screen. That's Zoom. I don't want to get rid of that. Yes.
Amanda live on YouTube. And sleeping. Loose goose.
Nope. There we go. I was getting an echo. Ah, Bob, that's not you. You're not echoing. Bob,
Pretty good.
might. Silly bird. Let's see. And I got to get my watch. Set up. We'll find notes on it. Okay. Cecil. Well, Cecil got an experience he hasn't had. I've been examining his food bowl, and he's been hitting the food that he's been hitting his treats and avoiding the regular food. So I'm now he's not going to get any more peanut butter on his birdie biscuit, and I'm cutting back on his papaya and banana. Yes, I am. And for a while, he's getting KT Exact hand feeding formula. But his weight is up, but I don't like what he's eating. Poop looks good. Weight's coming up, but looking at his food bowl, he's eating the wrong thing. So I'm probably going to cut them all back on the treats a little bit because of you. His activity level is up now that he doesn't have the nesting materials in his cage, but he's still trying to do funny things with his toys. So
Poor Cecil. Sounds like mating urge is high this year.
yeah,
Cecil, maybe we stop allowing you to sit on KK.
you could probably use a Deslorelin implant, but the problem with that is there's no vet around here that I would trust to do it. So we'll just keep working on the environmental, give him food so that he doesn't pick the wrong things out of the food bowl. More peanut butter for you, buddy. Although it's good for putting on weight, it's just doesn't have all the stuff he needs in it. So it's not just peanut butter, it has soy milk in it too. So that's at least there's some nutrition, but we'll
Cecil.
see.
He
We'll
doesn't
see.
look too happy. What's wrong?
He's
Took him
confused.
a
He didn't
thoughtful mood today.
I put him on a perch and fed him by hand. He didn't have a real problem with it, except when I tried to get him to eat a little more at the end. He was eating off the 60 milliliter syringe, no problem, but it's it's a an innate behavior. So to eat food that's offered that way. How you doing? Well, Lorelai doesn't look too excited either. Yeah, I know you guys want to go outside, but there's too much dust in the air.
Grumpy umbrellas. Oh no.
Yeah, they definitely want to go outside, but air quality is 62. Anything above 50 is not for them. And most of that's fine particulate matter, 2.5 or less. So that's not good for their lungs.
Mhm.
Anything less than It's 2.5 or less, stays in the lungs. Your body has trouble getting it out. So beep. All right, you guys. The only one who's actually a Lorelai, not eat the clothing. Not eating the clothing. We're not eating the clothes. No, yourself. Bob. Only one who's actually busy, although Lorelai's starting to wind up a little bit. She's trying to eat my clothing. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Bob is being a good boy as always.
Oh, Bob, hello.
If we look up good boy in the dictionary, you see a picture of Bob.
He's so sweet. We love that boy.
Such a happy Triton.
Bob, what are you doing?
He's so comfy in that little spot next to your pocket.
Hmm.
I've been getting him to play more on the other side, but he likes to start over here. Don't you? Oh, don't jump every time I move my hand, you silly. You're afraid of your own shadow. He's closer to Mander than any other bird as far as being jumpy. Aren't you? Little monster. Yep. And everyone else is kind of quiet. Sugar is just blah. I started to take her outside. I sat her out there, then I looked at the air quality because the wind was blowing so bad. I had to take her back in. That's probably why she's acting this way. She's like, oh, good, I'm going to be outside. Oh, no, he's taking me back in. Yeah, the way the wind's blowing, it's not 30 gusts of 30 or 40-mile-an-hour winds. Not that bad, but that's enough to blow all the dust around. So,
Yeah,
what?
in the desert, it can be dusty. Also, you're not a sand desert in that respect, I think.
Doesn't seem to bother the other birds, but I saw some sparrows out there
Mm.
and we have some finches.
Yeah,
And
they
they
are
were
everywhere.
just, mm, no chatters in the chat rooms, huh?
There are two chatters. There's Falcon, Sue, and Calvin Thurston who joined us. So hello, you both. Great to see you guys. Oh, and
Hello.
Giselle,
Hey,
plant-based vegan, is also here. So hello and welcome.
Hello.
hello.
Yeah, everybody say hi in the chat so we can greet you. We like to greet our chatters, don't we?
Oh, I love to greet the chatters. And Cecil. Yeah, usually Cecil likes to greet the chatters. He's happy when he sees other people.
Mm.
He has just a little grumpy day today. Huh, Cecil? The Sugar's wine bar closed today.
Don't hear a thing from the shug.
Mm-mm.
Nope. Oh, I'm sure she's upset about being taken outside and brought right back in. But as soon as
Oh,
I felt that wind blowing on me, and I called up the air quality monitor on my phone, like, oh no, can't be out here.
Wasn't there once a storm outside and Sugar demanded to go out and was upset with you because you didn't?
Yeah, yep, there was. That's how this little girl is, isn't it, Sugar?
Uh,
Mm-hmm. She knows what she wants.
We in Germany say when it's raining outside and somebody's like, "Oh, I don't want to go out in the rain," you are not out of sugar.
You're not gonna melt.
Yep.
Bob, that's my arm.
Oh, Giselle had also terrible winds days ago.
Bob has become a major toothpick manufacturer today.
Mm. Bob, great work. Someone needs to keep up the business.
Laurel fly. Baby girl. Baby girl. Yeah, Lucy, it's not as moist in this room. This room was closed up, so the humidity in
She's
here is
sneezing.
probably closer to 10%.
Oh yeah, she's doing her sneezes. Poor Lucy.
Scratching at her nares too. And it's dry in here.
Poor little girl.
Lucy, that tickles. That tickles. It's Lorelei.
Lorelei.
Sorry. Lorelei! Baby girl. Still looking at me weird because I fed you by syringe, huh?
It says I'm not a baby. Why did you do that?
And I think Lorelai is like, "Oh, I'm also not a baby, but I like being feeded by the syringe."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There'd be no trouble feeding her by syringe.
Mm.
Oh, she
I
tends
think
to eat the right food, so
mm. Yeah, Miss Lorelai always got her syringe feeding when Coco was there.
yeah, she did. I want
Reminded her of
some.
being a kid.
She weaned herself at a year and 3 months, so it's a
That's a
problem with
good
these
girl,
breeders.
alright.
They try to force wean them as fast as they can so they can sell them to a bird store, and they are supposed to wean themselves. So why do they call those down feathers? They're usually not going down. Lorelei. Uh-oh. No, 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 no. We're not starting that. Come here. Go up there. Leave her
So
alone.
Jocelyn Triggy joined us in chat, and
Hey, Jocelyn.
Wilkinson mentions that it's also very windy in the San Francisco Bay Area. Giselle thinks that the birds are pretty quiet today.
They seem to be
Yeah, they
so
are.
far.
Lorelai's starting to get into things now.
So Giselle
But
says she's in the Southern California in the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountain. So maybe that says something to Don since he is also from Southern California.
well, that sounds lovely.
I've lived in foothills before in Southern California. What are you doing? Not that particular set, but
Mhm.
and around us here, it's not so much hills as mountains, but we're surrounded. So
Please.
Achoo.
Is someone wondering why there's no Mandarin there?
Where is it? He is there somewhere.
He's over there.
Ah. But he can't hide under that cage anymore.
I think he can, but Don has to go on his knees and beg for him coming out again.
Yeah, it's so he won't rush out. I put that wiring around there. That way he can't just rush out here. And when he gets scared and rushes out, that's when he gets attacked. So
Oh,
that
let's
way
see. I
he
think we have a question by Jocelyn Triggle. How many on your new page now?
That's a good
Is
question.
is I don't know, is she meaning Telegram or something since
no,
Don left Facebook?
just she's talking about Telegram. I haven't done a check to see. At last count it was 18, but I don't know how many now.
I think it's 19. We need more people to join up, so if you're watching this and you've not joined yet, then please do. We'd love to have you.
We
We
definitely
do.
would. There's a lot of fun stuff on that platform. So yeah, families get on there and have their own family groups and all kinds of stuff. So
I can post a
were you?
link to.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
Calvin.
okay.
Were you writing Gesundheit? Is that what that's supposed to be? You've written Gesundheit. Are you saying the summary?
Yeah, I
That's funny. I've never seen it spelt like that before.
I think we have another question I might overlook from Giselle. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's Gesundheit. Yeah. Right. But the question from Giselle is, how old is everyone in the flock and how many do you have? And is everyone in the room?
Well, not everyone is in the room. The ages of most of these birds I couldn't tell you, because they're when people hand them over to you, they often don't give you the right information, or they can't tell you because the bird's been handed around from one person to another, so they have no idea how old they are. Vets can't look at them and tell you how old they are. So they're guessing when they tell you. An avian vet says, "Oh, I think this bird's about so old." Yeah, okay. It's a guess.
The only one you definitely know is Lorelei, but can you remember?
I think I answered two questions and there were three, but I don't remember
If
the third.
everyone is in the room, no, half of the flock is in the room right now.
Yep.
How many do we have? We have 12.
Parts of the former rowdy group, not so rowdy today.
No, they're not too rowdy today. Although the other group can get kind of rowdy, because it's snow. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to get KK where he accepts the other birds. So I have one bird he's not too sure of, which is Pippa, and then I keep Lucy in there and Snowball and KK. I have them all in one little group. And yesterday, I don't know why, but I fell asleep for a minute or two. And when I woke up, I had KK sitting on my shoulder. He's never done that before. And he was just sitting up there, relaxing on my shoulder.
Yeah,
He
that was
stayed on my
cute.
shoulder. No, he stayed on my shoulder for about an hour after that when I woke up. I didn't sleep very long, maybe 5 minutes or something. I just dozed off. But Yeah, I just looked over and said, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" You get a lot of stories when somebody relinquishes a bird. You're never sure whether it's true or not. So 9 times out of 10, it's just a story. Whatever story will get the bird to you is good example is Pippa. I mean, the guy who had Pippa, he he basically had her. Now, I believe his story, but and there's reasons for that. But he had a girlfriend who left and left the bird with him. Just took off, went to South America, and was never heard from again. And at first, he told me, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with her. She's fine." And then I said, "Well, we don't take birds that are just fine." And then he sent me a picture, and she had feather destructive behavior that was not good. It was probably maybe 6 months away from bodily self mutilation, not just the feathers. And she had swallowed lead. It was a story I hadn't heard. And then I talked to the vet, Dr. Nimitz in Los Angeles, who removed the lead. He had to surgically remove it, which is about the only way a bird's going to have, toxic metal poisoning. Not usually from chewing on the bars of a cage or something like that. But and then she also had one titer of psittacosis and had to wait 3 weeks for additional testing, and it's not cheap. Which he did that. Got her a new cage. She still a cage she likes. It's not my favorite cage, but tried to get her in a bigger cage and she hates it. So he wants that cage. And that's why I said the reason I believe him is because once he started telling me the truth, it was just a flood. Well, it's not really my bird. Well, it is now because it was left with me and it's been like 2 years. And I'm not taking care of her properly. She's not getting much attention, that kind of thing. So, but you get a lot of stories. You never know what to believe. The most common story I think we hear is, "Oh, we just had a baby," and I hate that story because if it's like somebody saying, "Well, we had a couple of girls, we finally had a boy, now we're going to throw the two girls out," you know, whatever, as soon as they have, "Oh, we've got a real child now, so we're going to get rid of the bird." They'll tell you that the bird, the baby's allergic to the bird. You hear that one. I think if you had a room full of rescuers and you said, "How many people have heard this story?" every hand would go up. The next most common story, before we get into the topic, but the next most common story is, "I just don't have enough time for this bird anymore." Anymore, usually attached. And 9 times out of 10, that's because whoever's saying that has gotten into some kind of a relationship with somebody who doesn't actually like birds. So I hope they you almost hope that they really suffer when that relationship dies, because in the United States, especially, the chance of a relationship lasting more than 5 years, human to human, is pretty small. Probably less than 1 out of 10 survive that. So remember the love you were getting from the bird when that's all over.
If I had a pet and then I already had the pet and then I met a new boyfriend and he was like, get rid of the pet, then I would get rid of him.
Yeah, that's the right thing. But there's that chemical they discovered down in Uganda. A team of researchers down there found there's a chemical that gets released in your brain. I call it the dumb. They call it the love gene, but actually it's a stupid gene because it hits you, and all of a sudden that person is perfect. They can do nothing wrong. 7 months, they say that's about as long as it'll go. After about 7 months, it's like when you get home, wake up in the morning, and you've been at the bar at 2 a.m. I've never done that, but I've heard of it anyway. and you realize that, what did I do last night? Yeah, those kind of thing. But it takes a while.
So 7
But what we're
months is
talking,
the honeymoon period.
yeah, well, they've proven it. There's a chemical that gets released, and apparently it has to do with the procreation of the species. Because if you're in a group of people and you have a small number of people around you and you don't like any of them, the chemical makes it so that you will for a while, long enough to produce another human, and that's really what's going on. So, but you go completely stupid. Your friends can tell you too. What are you? I've had this. This I have had. What are you doing? Why are you in that relationship? Oh well, they're perfect. No, they're not. But with birds, what you see is what you get if you know the right training techniques. And today we're going to talk about the stormy Cs of Parrot training. But in ABA, we have certain principles that make it so that when we're working with these guys, we succeed and don't fail. And the 3 Cs are important. They talk about the 7 Cs, that you can sail, but the 3 Cs of ABA, the first one is consistency. Well, you want to be consistent. Um, so there are people who will try to train a bird, and they're trying to train it to step up. So they use their right hand one time, their left hand another, and they approach, instead of always approaching with the hand the same way. Instead of going like this with the left hand or whatever they're doing, the next time they'll go like this and put their arm up. If you want to confuse someone, that's the way to do it. Don't be consistent. If you're trying to teach one of these birds to do a specific behavior, they've got to get the right cues from you. And that's like, I can think of a situation like that when I was working, where I was with a company that started having some problems in their accounting department. So one week you might see your paycheck early in the morning. The next week you might be waiting. You got off at 4, you're waiting for your paycheck. This is before direct deposit, right? You're waiting for your paycheck. It's 4:30. You've been hanging out. You're not getting paid. Where is my paycheck? And that does not make for a happy group of employees. Let me tell you. Well, with these guys, it's the same thing. If you're not consistent, if you're using, even if you're just making a little difference, let's say if you put your hand out like this one time or like that one time, you got to just keep it the same. Are you going to put, if it's a smaller bird, you put your finger out like that? That doesn't mean the next time you put it out like this or like that. You have to be consistent. And then they learn that when they see this is what's going on. So inconsistency is a major reason that people say, well, my bird just won't learn, they won't say behavior, but I'm trying to teach my bird a trick and it won't learn it. And yeah, it's because you're confusing it. It would be like walking up to someone and speaking to them in English, and the next time speaking to them in Spanish, and then speaking to them in French, and then in German, and and especially in the U.S., multilinguals are rare. It's a monoglot society here for the most part. So it causes confusion. So when you plan to teach your bird something, be consistent, and then use a consistent place. One perch, particularly in the beginning, one specific perch. Keep the number of things in the environment that are going to draw their attention down to a bare minimum. Because just like most, if you're trying to talk to a kid and there's cartoons, you got a 5-year-old kid, you're trying to talk to him, there's cartoons on the TV, good luck. So you want to keep the distractions down to a minimum. And be consistent with that too. You don't move the perch around to different places in the beginning. Later on, to generalize the behavior, yes. But when you're trying to teach it from the start, you have to be careful and make sure you're consistent. So. And
Well, Lisa
then,
Banerjee joined us, so we can say hi to Lisa.
hi, Lisa.
Sorry,
Hey,
I
Bob.
interrupted your train of thought, Don.
No. That's one of the nice things about what I'm trying to do here is still teach, be able to teach, but we can play around at the same time. So no, interrupt me whenever. It doesn't matter. I know if I or forget where I am, I have my notes on my watch. So on this particular subject, I don't think I need to look at them, but they're there in case. My favorite part of the terminology, though, is that it throws everybody off. Is a word we use called contiguity. No one knows what that means. I didn't know when I was first learning it what contiguity means, but it means that you want to actually what you want to have things happen at the same time, right? So if you're going to give a reward, you're handing a reward out, you want that reward to get to the bird at the moment they're doing the right behavior. And if there's one, the number one thing that people can't get is that you're rewarding the behavior that you either bridge by saying good bird, um, or some people use a clicker. You do that around African grays, you'll be sorry because you're going to hear the clicker all the time. But so you want to give it to them. You want to reward them or let them know with a bridge that they're doing the right thing at that moment. So I've said this before, but the best way to think of it is you're training a bird to step up. And when the bird just steps up on your hand and then is just standing still on your hand, if you say good bird, you're rewarding the bird for standing still. You're not rewarding the bird for standing up. They're stepping up on your hand. When they're stepping over and that last foot is coming down, good bird. Not once they're standing there, because they're going to think that, oh, just standing here is what he wants me to do. And I've seen this with people. Well, you can do it. You can do this with people where you secretly get together and want them to do a specific behavior, and one person tries to train the other person to do it. And you're only going to do is like clap your hands whenever they are moving in the right direction. And their only rule is that they have to move a little bit all the time. They can't just stand still. And that way, when they're moving in the right direction, you can clap your hands. When they're doing something that's close to the behavior you want, you clap your hands. Clap your hands at the wrong time, and the person will do the wrong thing. And since these guys don't know English, that's what's going to happen. So contiguity just means that it has to happen at the same time. So what we do if we're training an animal and we can't give that reward at the very moment they're doing the right thing, you're stepping up. If you're holding a sunflower seed, as that last foot goes down, you put the sunflower seed up for the beak. That's contiguity. If you wait until they're on your hand and hand them the seed, no. But if you use the bridge, which is to say good bird, you use the same bridge every time. Consistency, okay? That's important. But so while there's, if you can't get that physical reward, whatever it might be, 9 times out of 10, it's their favorite treat that they have taken out of their diet, and you use just for training. But if you can't do it at the same moment, I saw Dr. Yeah, I know. I stopped, didn't I? I stopped adding the sugar.
Oh no, what a crime.
Mm.
Dr. Zelix I watched her in one of the classes she has in animal training, train a seal to go around in a circle by just using verbal cues and hand signals. That's not the way you usually train that. You use a target and have them follow it around, but she was just showing that you can do that. But you have to be consistent. If at any time she wasn't consistent in the way she was bridging that behavior, she wouldn't have been able to train the animal. And that's the thing. You have to do something like that. You have to be a super trainer in that you're going to be, the contiguity of your bridge. Good, in this case, it would be, I don't think she said good seal. She was using another verbal reward, but or bridge. But yeah, she was able to, and she did all that without having to give a physical reward, which was the fish, until the seal had done the entire behavior. So, but that's a real pro using a practice we call scan and capture, which is watching for the behavior you want, bridging it, and then rewarding. That's scan and capture. That's how you train a bird to talk too. Scan and capture. You're not going to just make them talk by getting in front of them and talking at them. Sometimes that'll get them interested in making sounds, but you have to wait until they do it. So contiguity. I wish there was another word that fits that makes more sense. There are sentences, but not words. But it has to happen at the same time. So you have to reward the behavior you want. And then the last of the three, go ahead.
I wanted to throw in a funny comment by Calvin Thurston about his bird Slugger. He says, my slugger will say step up back to me, but only put one foot up on me, but not step up. Lol, and keep repeating step up. Sometimes he eventually does, and I reward him, but yeah.
That's cheeky, isn't it?
Yeah, that's funny when you see how birds are reacting, or general animals, to training. Sometimes you producing a result which wasn't intended.
Yeah, unintended results are common. Check the consistency, the way you're doing it. Make sure you're consistent about it. And when the bird does actually step up, use a practice called flooding, which is give a lot of rewards for that and then end the session. And then if you keep doing that, eventually the bird will start doing the behavior. You may have to approach it slightly differently, but we will flood if a bird does the right behavior and you've been trying for a while. And that helps. Just flood with rewards. And the last C is contingency. And that's another important one. Sometimes people will be trying to train an animal. It won't be doing the behavior they want right then, but they're ready to end the situation. So they just give them a reward and there's no contingency to it. Never reward during training a bird for doing nothing. It has to be contingent on the behavior. Now, if they won't step up and they can get 1 foot up in the air, that might be what you're rewarding. So always make the reward contingent on the actual behavior you want. And that may be an intermediate step. I mean, to get a bird to shake, well, I have a video somewhere, an old video of teaching Roman to shake. And I didn't put the whole thing up there because it took a few days to get it to happen, but he would lift his foot just a little bit and then I'd reward it. And he'd lift his foot just a little bit, then I'd reward it. Then he'd lift the wrong foot and I wouldn't reward it. Again, I'm working on one particular foot, usually the left, because that's what most parrots use is their left foot. That's their primary foot. So they're lefties. So and then eventually I got him to he raised his foot one time, way up, which this kind of thing usually happens when you stop rewarding behavior. It's called an extinction burst. And I was listening to something and I was thinking, oh, that's an extinction burst. Because they were getting a reaction that they hadn't gotten before. And it was something that had nothing to do with training. But when you see unusual behaviors, it's usually because there's an expected reward in the environment and it doesn't happen. So, and then you see all kinds of odd behaviors. Well, he just threw his foot way up in the air and I put my finger in it and he grabbed a hold of my finger and I just flooded him with, at the time it was sunflower seeds he liked. I gave him 4 or 5 sunflower seeds. And after that, and at the same time, I would say shake. And then after that, I put my finger up and said shake and he would grab it and you'd get his reward. And I would give him at first 4 sunflower seeds, then 3, then 2, then 1 sunflower seed. And after that, every other time he would get a sunflower seed, and one time he would get petted. He likes to be petted too. So, but if you make the mistake of rewarding a behavior you didn't want, just expect to see that behavior again, because it is an alternate behavior to get the reward they want, and they're not stupid, so they'll figure that out. Right, Sugar?
So we have Rosebud Atkins who joined us,
Hello.
and then Jocelyn
Hello.
Driggles sends greetings from April, and telling us about Cinnamon, who doesn't whistle yet, but only screams when she leaves the room.
Maybe he'll then. There's still time.
Well, if you start whistling when you leave the room, and if the bird whistles, you come back, or any other sound besides screaming, you want to reward that and come back and give a treat. But it's just become second nature for me to do those kind of things. Functional analysis on the fly, right, little girl? I have trained her to wait for me to pet her beak a little bit longer than she used to. So, because I can't keep my arm up for 10 minutes at a time, and she won't climb down most of the time. Sometimes she'll get on my shoulder or up close to my shoulder on the chair, but she gets the petting she wants because she's
That's
trained me
good.
too. Hey, Lorelai. Bob, why are you looking at him that way? No, don't you laugh at me. Cecil, what do you got in your beak? One of those little beads, huh? If you remember the 3 C's while you're training, you're going to have success. If you don't remember them and you make a mistake, you can fix mistakes. You can fix mistakes, but salamander. And you have to sometimes. You can't help but occasionally reward a behavior you don't want. You stick to those 3, the consistency, contiguity. What are you doing, Lorelai? And contingency. All those 3 have to be involved in training. So I'm not sure that consistency is a normal human trait. What you looking at, Lorelai? Hmm?
Lorelai.
Gesundheit. Diesel. Yeah, his weight's going back up. He's acting better, but he's still got some mating behaviors. I'm trying to trim those out of his cycle. I would kind of like to get him a Deslorelin implant, but there's no vet around here that can do that. So,
Did it work on the boys?
yeah. Yeah, it just stops the cycle of mating on male or females.
Oh, there they go, kissy kissy again.
So sweet. More room for Bob on Don.
Yep, that's okay by Bob.
Mm.
Oh, he's so happy in his little nest. Look at him.
Part of his territorial problem, though, but you can't get him. I can't say can't, but it's hard to get him to stop. Usually, when I don't have to worry about a camera, I will move him to the other side. I will do that after we're done, so that he gets the idea that he's not just in one spot. And then he gets much more territorial when he's confined to one area.
Mm-hmm. So we have Buktiar Shah in our chat joining us. So hello. And a question by Jocelyn, who has already been answered by Eleanor. She wanted to know if there are tornadoes in your area.
If there are what? Oh,
Tornadoes.
tornadoes. I thought you said tomatoes there for a second. Yeah,
Tomato.
well, my
Tomato.
AirPod, my
Potato.
cheap little earbuds don't
Tomato.
always make things clear. No. Mm-mm. Dust devils occasionally, but no tornadoes.
Tomatoes would be fine. Tornadoes, not so.
Yeah.
They have tomatoes in the grocery store, probably.
Yeah, well, they're kind of like waxed fruit. They look kind of like a tomato, but they don't taste like a tomato. You want to take the people who came up with that. We've got to make them thicker skinned so that we can ship them across the country. Take them and slam against the wall for a while. You idiot! Now they have no flavor.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the only thing that's like that. They made the oranges are too sweet now, and I think it's bizarre that they've engineered them so they don't have seeds. That would be like engineering humans so they're born neither male nor female. I don't see the point. It is not a good thing. If you start engineering things so they don't have seeds, you could end up starving to death at some point.
But all the bananas in the world are a clone of one banana or something, aren't they?
Yes, they are. They're genetically one, just a replication or a clone of each other, and that's why they're dying out.
And also
There have been
the corn they produce to and farm with it, most of it are some kind of hybrids who are not fertile. So they basically have cannot take the harvest and then yeah, seed and then they can harvest again. So they need to buy every year new seeds.
Yeah, that's a Monsanto idea. Let's make it so you have to keep buying seeds from us. Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster in the future. Plus, a lot of the corn that's grown is inedible. It has to be run through like some major processing so they can turn it into additives for food. High fructose corn syrup is a good example. It comes from corn that you couldn't eat because this has no food value.
So Calvin Thurston writes in chat that Run's bananas taste like the old banana that went extinct. Interesting.
Yeah.
I just know that there are so many sorts of bananas, for example, in Africa or so they have on one market or so they have about 100 or so different kinds of bananas, cooking bananas, and they make all kind of stuff with it. So yeah, in our supermarkets there are really only that one special sort of banana, which is now, I think, highly endangered by some fungus.
Yep. It's called the Cavendish. That's the one that you see in the stores, the Cavendish banana, and it's going bye-bye. Similar things are happening with coffee too. Fortunately, I drink tea now, no coffee, but yeah, the coffee takes a specific environment, and we're losing those environments. It's getting too hot for coffee to grow in some of the places they've been growing it. So explains why its price has gone up so much. Hi, Bob. What are you doing? I can't turn this towards you because you'll attack it. It's Bob. What's up, Bob? I do. Bob, what you doing? What you doing? Huh? You could do that with if you could use those 3 C principles with politicians, If you say, well, if they don't do what you want, in their case, I think you could use a different type of positive punishment. Whack, whack them across the face. Wait a minute, you said you were going to do this and that, and you're not doing it. You know? And if you don't consistently vote for us, well, then we'll find a way to put you in jail. Oh. Same thing with these CEOs of these companies that produce corn you can't eat. That is not a bright idea. Let's produce food you can't eat so that we can process it industrially and put it in these little 5-ounce packages that that people will pay $5 for when you could make it yourself and make it for 50 cents.
I don't know, it's strange, isn't it?
It is. And they've got it so most people don't know how to cook. I remember I was at a friend's house one time. His wife is gone, and this guy's helpless in the kitchen. And he goes, well, I offer you something to eat, but we have nothing to eat. So I looked around and I said, okay. He had chickens, so there were some fresh eggs. And he had bread that was good. And I looked at it, the date was good, and it didn't have any fungus I could see. I think Bob could have seen it better, but then he had some milk that was left and flour and some butter. So I made creamed eggs on toast. He goes, I would have never thought of doing something like that. Said, yeah, because I didn't teach you to cook. So we had a nice breakfast of creamed eggs on toast. I was there to help him harvest a piece of manzanita from his property. So dig up this huge root to make a table. So we had a nice breakfast before we went out. But today, I mean, people, I cannot believe they sell gravy in bottles in a grocery store. That just makes me laugh. As 2 tablespoons of margarine or butter. And, you got to be careful on the margarine. It's got to be more fat based. And then either water, broth, water, or milk equivalent, soy milk, something like that. You just mix the flour and the butter until it's browned a little bit, and then add a little bit of liquid. You got to add a little at a time until then, like 5 minutes later, you have gravy. I mean, and you're going to spend $2. What does it cost in flour? The whole thing you're making probably for 10 cents, and you're buying a $2.50 or $3 bottle that says gravy on it that tastes horrible anyway. It's got so many additives in it. It's disgusting. You can make a brown gravy like that. You can make a basic brown gravy. Just use Bragg's. It's a company called Bragg's. It makes liquid aminos. Just a couple of splashes of liquid aminos, so you don't have to use a broth, and that will come up tasting like it came, gravy that came from meat that you cooked. If you're cooking meat, you take you drain off the liquid, and you use that to make your gravies too. I know. Nope, got to buy it in a bottle. Dressing is the same way. They sell all these fancy dressings in the store, and they charge you $3 a bottle for this. And for most dressings, I mean, there's basically only 2 kinds of dressing. One that's vinegar based, and the other one is mayonnaise based. So if you got those two things, you just need some flavorings, and you can make any kind of dressing for almost nothing. Again, for a nickel or a dime, make yourself dressing. Blue cheese dressing. People buy this. I've seen it. There's a company that makes it's famous for their blue cheese dressing. Okay, you get a bottle. It's 12 ounces, and it costs you $4, $5, somewhere in that range. Blue cheese dressing is easy. It's a little bit of pepper, mayonnaise, and blue cheese. Just let it sit overnight, and you got it. I mean, and so you could buy a quart of mayonnaise, well, from Costco, but you could buy a pint of mayonnaise and some blue cheese, and you could make 10 times the dressing. Okay, come on, guys. But they've taught us that we can't cook. Fortunately, I was a fat kid, so I learned how to cook.
Hi, Bob.
What are you doing? Oh,
And
what a good
I
boy.
actually wanted to acknowledge that Manda was super cute in the corner when you put the camera over there. He was such a cutie
No.
He's just
looking over
moved
at us.
closer. Hi, Mander.
Hmm?
So I hope everybody remembers the 3 Cs, because if you remember those 3 things, your training will work a lot better. And if you practice them now, when your bird starts exhibiting some behaviors you don't know how to deal with, you'll have some of the tools you need to train. Right, Lorelei? Now, these two guys they're getting active.
Mm.
They know the hour's nearly up.
They know that it
Yep.
will be available soon. Is Lucy staring at Sugar? Is that a stare down? Oh my gosh, what are you doing, girls?
Does look like they're staring each other down. Lucy's a tough little thing. When she's somewhere, she doesn't want anybody walking by her. So she'll.
No, don't mess with Lucy. She makes her point clear.
And there's ways to get around without having to go by her. So most of them will avoid going by her if they can.
Oh, the viewers are asking for you to remind us of the 3 Cs real quick.
Okay. Contingency. Don't reward unless you get the behavior you want. And that don't make, you don't want to leap into, if you're trying to teach them to step up and they're only raising their foot a tiny bit and you're getting part of what you want, that's what you want to reward until they get, rewarded at different levels, right? So contingency, contiguity, you want to give the cue to them that they're doing the right thing at the moment they're doing the right thing, not after they're done. It's not when the bird is sitting on your hand, but while it's just stepping onto it, if you want to say good bird, or use whatever you're using for a bridge. Okay. Okay, brain. Contiguity, consistency, and
Consistency. So you said contingency, contiguity, and consistency.
consistency. Oh yeah. I've said it so many times. You burn out the chemicals in your brain. You can't remember it. Yeah, you want to be consistent. So you're not if you're teaching a bird to step up, you don't use two different hands. You always approach with the same thing. If you have a small bird, you're doing it like this every time. Whatever way is most comfortable for you. But you don't go like this one time and like this one time and like that one time. For the it's confusing. They don't understand English, so you can't do that. So consistency is important. And if you're training at the same time of day in the same place, with as few distractions as possible, is a good way to get that consistency going. Again, if you train in the morning, then you train at night, then you train late at night, then you train, that's another inconsistency. You want to try to train at the same place, same time, that kind of thing, and with the same motions. Be careful with your clothing too. Consistency. If you decide to train them with your hair standing straight up and you just colored it, that's not consistent either. So, Try to be as consistent about your dress as you can too while you're training a new behavior. Doesn't seem like much, but all those three things add up. Don't say Lucy. Loose girl.
Cutie pie.
Got her to shake her head. Mander, you got any final words, Mander? We're overtime now, so you got any final words?
Amanda was a really good boy today. No one bothered him, and he bothered no one. Actually, super well-behaved birds.
Yeah, everybody's pretty quiet. They do better outside. I like it better out there. What are you doing?
Yeah, somebody was
No.
missing the buckets, but the buckets are outside.
Cecil. He's a barber, so I got to watch him. He was jumping on her, one of her primaries. Don't eat feathers. Bob, Bob's on my shoulder trying to look over so he can see what's going on with the screen. No, we're not doing that.
Babalu, are you going to say bye-bye to the phone people?
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Amy and Eleanor, for moderating, and thank you all for being here. And we'll see you again next week. Nächste Woche. Meine Damen und Herren.
Mesdames, Messieurs.